Misha, back again. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you back, like I just said 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Mhm.
How's it been? I don't remember. When was the last time I was on here? I mean, it was at least a year ago, right?
Yeah, a year and
If
some
not more.
change. But we've seen
Year
each
and
other
change.
since
Yeah.
then.
We have. Yeah, I've seen you at a few shows.
Hmm.
I saw you at Zebulon at least once.
Zebulon. Yep, that
Uh,
was
but
Flatworms and
you kind of
Slaughterhouse.
yeah, you kind of that's kind of your hangout though. You're like
Yeah.
a Zebulon patio lounge lizard.
Right. That's me. If anybody wants to come see me, I'll be at the Zebulon patio.
Yeah, I can't blame you. It's nice.
And then we also saw each other by my neck of the woods at the Wayfair in Costa Mesa when the Paranoids played.
Oh yeah, that's right for the surf open, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that was great. That was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. And then
Yeah.
most recently at a SadGirl show at Alex's Bar in Long Beach.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Good old Alex's. That was a fun one. That was a Halloween show, if I recall.
It was really good. Very fun.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
energy.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a good time that night. That was a fun one.
Yeah. I bought one of your nice shirts with the cowboy boot on it with the barbed wire around it, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Bit of barbed wire, a bit of boot. Can't go
Mhm.
wrong with a bit of boot.
Yeah. Are you a boots guy usually or
Yeah.
tennis shoes?
Well, okay. I'm a Converse guy. I like the Chuck 70s. I don't know
Okay.
if you're familiar with these. They've got a little bit more padding than the traditional Chuck Taylor All Star. I'm not really a big boot guy. I'm a country music fan, and I've tried to be a boot guy. Never owned a pair of cowboy boots. I have one pair of like kind of Chelsea boots that I wear on a wedding occasion or something like that.
Sure.
I try to like dress nice sometimes with a little bit of fashion. But no, I'm usually just jeans and a t-shirt guy these days. That's sort of some Chuck Taylors, some blue jeans, and usually like a white t-shirt.
Yeah, it seems like you are a fan of the dungarees. That's what that feels like
That's
to me.
true. Yeah, I do like dungarees. That's true.
Yeah. Which is good. I used to wear a lot of dungarees. Then I started wearing Dickies. Now I wear Dockers. So I've been evolving, you know.
Where do you get Dockers? I feel like I haven't even heard of Dockers since like the late 90s, maybe.
Dockers.com. I'll
Oh
send
yeah,
you a link.
Dockers.com. Yeah,
Yeah.
send me a link after the podcast.
Yeah. No, I love the Dockers. They're very comfortable. That's the pant I wear the most of, definitely. I have multiple colors in this one pair of slacks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a strong pant.
it is. It is. Yeah, try and reaching out to Dockers to sponsor this podcast. So hopefully this will create some buzz around the office.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll hit up my people too. I feel like they've got some Dockers Connect.
You got
They're
yeah,
in the pant world. Yeah,
yeah.
I got some people in the pant world.
That's a it's a niche world to get into. It's very difficult to break into
It
that.
is. Yeah. Well, especially with Dockers, I feel like they've got such a kind of hold on the market share, It's like sort of it's their thing. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, Misha, let me ask you this: do you own more Levi's or Wranglers? What is your pant that you usually are jean wise that you're
Oh
going
yeah,
towards?
my pant. Thank you for asking. My pant is yeah, I'm a Levi's guy. I have a pair. I've got a couple pair of Wranglers. Like, are you familiar with the I think they're like polyester or something. I forget what they're called. Anyway, they're sort of like they're like tapered with like a flare. They're almost like a 70s dress pant kind of. I've got a couple pair of those Wranglers again that I bust out on a special occasion every now and then. And then
With
I've
the
got a pair
boots.
of kind of yeah, with the boots.
With the
Exactly.
boots.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
With the boots. That's kind of my go-to, like, it's a wedding or some kind of thing. And then yeah, besides that, Levi's. Just the Levi's guy. I go to the Citadel outlet and I'll usually buy like two or three pairs at a time. And then I'll just rock those for a while.
All right. This is my
Yeah, nothing
issue
crazy.
with Levi's. If you I This has been my experience. If you buy a
They're
pair of
not
Levi's,
Dockers.
they're not well, yeah, I mean, of course, obviously. I mean, that's strike
Yeah.
one. But strike two being that if even if you bought two pairs of the same Levi's, I feel like they'd be cut different and they'd feel different to me.
Oh, you think their QC is not great?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
Quality control.
that's
Yes,
a shame.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
For the
just
listeners at home, yeah, that's industry talk for quality
yeah,
control
that's
in
a
the pant biz.
that's a little IB inside baseball at the
That's right.
PB
Yeah.
pant business. But yeah, that this is my experience. I bought my first pair of jeans in quite a while, kind of recently, and I don't really wear them that much. But when I do, I go, all right. I mean, it just feels vastly different from my Dockers, you
So
know.
what? Yeah, what do you wear? What are Dockers? You got like a kind of chino thing going?
Kinda. I forgot what it's called. I will let you know when I remember. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
let me
just
know.
yeah,
Well,
but
just send me like an email
right,
after with the,
right,
you can send me a couple links and a
absolutely,
couple pics, pant
will
pics,
do.
PP.
Yeah, sure. Classic pan pit. A C P P is what we call it.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
CC the PP.
yeah. The yeah, I really like this one um style, and I was like, you know what? Let me just double up on this and see if I really like him, and I do. So I got like a light, light pair, a brown pair, a darker tan pair, black,
Yeah.
blue. Yeah, I'm in it.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this. There's a little bit of a personal question. So,
Please
feel free to decline to respond. How
hit me
often do
with
you
it.
wash your Dockers? Like how often are you? Because I actually don't wash my jeans that frequently, if I'm being
Yeah,
frank.
yeah. Me neither. I start to do if I'm somewhere that's like really dirty, like
Yeah.
that I feel like it's dirty, like oh man, I was or especially at a show, if I'm leaning up against a wall, like in the back of the venue or something like that, or
Yeah.
on the side of the venue, I'm washing it. I'm washing the
Yeah.
pants. I'm washing the shirt, especially because the back's up against the wall. That's what's
Yeah.
happening there. But usually, because I get stuff on my clothes all the time. Almost every shirt that I own is stained. So if it's stained like that, I will definitely wash them. Or if they smell a little bit, that's when I'm throwing them in the wash.
Yeah.
So usually I get like three wears out of it before I throw it in the wash.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless there's a circumstantial evidence that
Yeah,
you
no,
need to.
that's what I totally get that. I mean, from time to time, I'll be doing something particularly dusty, and my jeans will have to immediately get tossed in the wash. So
Sure. Are you throwing them in the dryer?
yeah, I dry them,
Mm-hmm.
wash them, dry them. I'm like, again, I'm not like really not like a fashionista kind of guy typically. So I'm gonna wash them, I'm gonna dry them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Um,
have heard though, maybe you've heard this, especially with denim, you're apparently not really meant to wash it that frequently. And so what people do is they'll chuck them in the freezer. You ever heard that
yes, I have. Yeah, I remember a
freezer trick?
couple. Yeah, and just letting them get cold, the bacteria goes away. And then people used to do that on. I've heard of people doing it on like really hot days, and then just like putting them in for a bit, taking them off.
And then you
I
put them
don't.
on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not me. That's not what I would do. But
I like that though. I kind of do something similar on the really hot days. I mean, you and I, Southern California locals, natives, occasionally we
exactly.
get a heat wave out here. I don't have AC at my place. I've got a couple ceiling fans, but I don't have AC. So what I'll do on those hot nights is I keep a couple ice packs in the freezer, and I'll just like right in the gooch, like just right there. And that just regulates the whole body temp. It just brings the whole temp down a couple degrees. So I hear the jeans out the freezer onto the body thing. I kind of like that.
Speaking of your issues with the non AC, how that just seems really really difficult to deal with.
It's okay actually. I live west side,
Mm,
so I'm not too far from the beach or too far inland. And I usually it's usually quite a few degrees cooler in my neighborhood than like somewhere like Highland Park or downtown or Echo Park or something like that. And I get a nice little cross breeze, so it's chill. I mean, it definitely gets hot. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
I feel bad for my uh east side brethren and sisterin.
yeah. It gets quite warm over there.
Yeah, it does. It sure do.
Um, at through doing this podcast, I've learned that it's a big deal to know if you're east side or west side or north side or south side. That's it. That really dictates where you go, where you frequent within LA.
Yeah, it kind of depends. It's interesting. I grew up on the west side, um, but because I play music and I also do like a lot of like visual arts related stuff and like production design kind of related stuff, and so many of my friends, if not all of them, pretty much are um, further east than me. You know, Los Feliz, Highland Park, Echo Park, wherever. I'm pretty used to spending time in other places besides my neighborhood. I don't really hang out that much in my neighborhood. I actually don't go out that much at all anyway these days. But when I do, it is usually on the east side. So you gotta just, I think you gotta overcome the mental barrier of the fucking traffic, man. Otherwise, you're just gonna be bound forever.
It's
And I'm not having it.
it can get real difficult over there.
Yeah, it does. Luckily, I'm an avid podcast listener, so you just chuck on a couple hours of whatever.
Of this podcast, right, Misha? You do
Oh
listen to
no,
this
yeah, no, I
every.
meant, yeah. What I meant is a couple hours of the Vineyard podcast, because there's a lot of great interviews with local and up and coming artists. Some really incredible musicians, colleagues of mine,
Sure.
who we chat around the water cooler pretty often about Jacob's podcast. So that's what I would put on most of the time, 99.9% of the time.
We're gonna clip that, put that as a promo. That's okay. Good. All right. Just as long as we get the promotional stuff out of the way. It's like
Yeah, we can kind of wrap this up now, right? Because
yeah, we
you
got
got the clip.
we got some good stuff. Pants and freezers and air conditionings. Yeah, I think we did the whole thing. Misha, thank you so much. Yeah, that's
Yeah, thank you.
SadGirl.
All right, Jacob.
No, now Misha, I did want to jump into this a little bit with you because I do see, or I used to see on Instagram a lot that you'd be working behind the scenes of music videos and whatnot relating to this
Yeah.
production side. When did you get into that?
Um, it's interesting actually. My mom was a set creator when we were kids, on the show The Nanny.
Ooh,
If you're
Fran
familiar
Drescher.
with it,
Yeah,
so Fran Drescher, yeah. So um, we would visit my mom, which was like, I was visiting my mom at work at the time, but it would, we'd go to the set, and yeah, just like always kind of loved that. And when I got back from art school, I did a year in art school and kind of hated it, and I came back to LA and started working at a screen printing shop. And kind of in the beginning stages of working at the screen printing shop, I was also kind of wanting to get into like doing props kind of. And I actually had a few sort of like interviews with some people just for like kind of internship type things. And then just growing up in LA, I've always had friends that are either directors or like editors or somehow are like contributing to music videos. And again, because like music videos have been such a huge component of the musical project, my music project, I've spent a lot of time on set and would often just PA in the art department. And then it was over the pandemic when the kind of live music thing still wasn't happening kind of as much. I started pivoting into doing a little bit more of the production-y stuff, tiny bit more seriously, because I love making things. That's sort of like, my whole thing, whether it's music or art or design or, anything, is kind of making things and collaborating with people to make things is sort of what I like to do. So that was my outlet when sort of doing the collaborative live music thing wasn't really an option over the pandemic. And then, yeah, just over the course of probably the last like 2 years or so, I've been doing it a little bit more consistently and seriously. And yeah, it's great. I love it. So I've been able to kind of like spend time working on friends' projects and contributing to stuff in ways where usually I was dedicating that energy strictly to my project. I'm now doing that with other people, which is great. And you honestly, you learn so much. Like that's how you learn, really, is by spending time with other people and spending time with people who are more experienced or more talented than you in different realms, and you kind of just try and pick up what you can. So
Right. From like Fran Drescher or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Like from Fran. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw Fran Drescher, Misha?
Gosh, it was probably my mom's birthday last year.
That recent.
Yeah, they're good friends.
She seems like a nice lady.
Great
That's
lady. Yeah, she's a really nice lady.
right. That was a show that was on a lot when I was a kid, like being syndicated, especially on
Yeah,
TV
totally,
Land.
right?
Yeah, that was definitely
Man,
one.
it's so funny you bring up TV Land. This is so bizarre. Honestly, I was just on the TV Land Wikipedia page this morning, strangely enough.
Right.
That's so weird. I was reading about how it was initially a spin-off of the Nick and Night programming.
I
I
did
don't know
not
if
know
you
that.
realize that, but yeah. Yeah, I love I was thinking last night, they used to have Twilight Zone on Netflix, and
Mm.
I love the old Twilight Zone shows. That's kind of like a comfort thing for me, despite its like eeriness and spookiness and psychological decimation.
For some people,
It's
it's The Office. For Misha, it's Twilight Zone.
it's that honestly, that's true. Like if I can't sleep at night, like I really love the Twilight Zone. There's something about like the sounds of it, the way the dialogue runs. It's all a bit like a teleplay, kind of. Like the dialogue's very kind of specific, and also sort of like the music and the sound effects and things, and it just feels very like nostalgic and nice to me. So
Rod Sterling's voice is very nice. It's very
it
comforting
is,
to just
right?
watch him smoke and talk. I like
Yeah,
that.
just walk in and smoke, and
Yeah, suit
yeah,
on. Yeah,
great suit always.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It looked pretty good. He's always
he did
looking
look good.
dapper. Yeah,
Yeah,
I bet he owned a pair of dungarees at one point. I
yeah, we're Dockers. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but with the quality of Dockers, I feel like someone like Rod Sterling would have
right, and if it's
definitely
good enough for
invested.
Rod Sterling, it's good enough for us. So yeah, that's
That's
why we
right.
support Dockers only. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a Dockers friendly podcast here.
yeah.
And wait, yeah, Misha, going back to because this kind of fascinates me. I'm sorry to derail this once more, but you said Converse. You're a big Converse guy.
Yeah, the Chuck 70s in particular. I'm wearing a pair of black ones, but I got a pair of dark, like navy ones. I got a pair of like faded red, kind of coral color ones. And then I got a pair of like mustard yellow ones. So I got
That's
a lot of them.
that's a good amount. Now,
Yeah.
were you a Converse kid when you were growing up? Were you always wearing Converse?
No, I was a Vans kid.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was a Vans guy. The Converse hurt my feet, but I think it was I would wear the low tops would kind of hurt my feet. You ever wear low tops and it like kind of hurts the back of your ankle?
No, but I
That might
see
just be me. Yeah.
I see where you're coming
Like,
from on that. I get that.
maybe like skating or something. I don't know. Anyway, but then it was, yeah, the Chuck 70s are for me. They've got extra padding in them, and they're super comfy, but they're like real casual, and they're not crazy expensive. So, and I feel like nowadays you can pull off like a crispy pair of Converse for like a fancier situation, and it's chill,
Right, right,
you
right.
know?
Well, I mean, yeah, we're not living in Rod Sterling's time anymore. Let's just say that
We're
because
not. No, no.
if
It's
you
true.
showed up to a dinner party at his house wearing some Chuck Taylor Converse, oh boy,
Yeah. That'd
yeah,
be no good. It's
that'd
like
be it.
Stacey Adams, and that was kind of it back then. That was the it.
You better be wearing bally shoes or nothing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to say though, I just want to like clarify before we get too far along with this little conversation, is that I love my New Balances. I got a couple pairs of very crispy white the Seinfeld 11 dad airs, the grass stained chunky sneakers. Those are my favorite.
That's what I'm wearing right now is some New Balances. Yeah, New Balance makes a good shoe.
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
make a good shoe. It's good. You got to support your back. I'm getting up there, getting
Mhm.
older, so you got to make sure your back's supported.
Good and ready to go. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you got to be ready for anything.
Right. And also it's like taking those pants out of the freezer. You got to be ready to put them on lickety split right after the freezer. So you got to be limber for that. You got to be able to bend down, put those pants on when they're so
Well,
crispy.
yeah, that's an interesting point. Do you think, are you folding them when you put them in the freezer, or are you keeping them like rigid so that, because if you're freezing them folded, is it tough to unfold once they're frozen? Do you have to
I
defrost them? You know what I
I
mean?
I always thought, because I've never done it, but I always thought when people did it, they're folding it, up H&M style or whatever. Name your whatever your favorite jean supplier. They're folding it and then they're putting it in and then they're unfolding it and then putting it on.
You
That's
know, it would be a great idea. And here's like, I'll cut you in if you want, like 12%.
please.
We do like closet for very wealthy people. Like we're talking like Steve Jobs, RIP kind of style. Cupboards for their jeans, refrigerators on hangers though. So you can like open up the door, big burst of like, you know, like cold mist comes out and you just pull out the rack and it's just all your favorite jeans. You never have to wash them. You just hang them back up, put them in the fridge closet. You know what I mean?
Love it. Fridge closet. That will be licensed by the end of this. So we will send you a cease and desist if you try to take that. Yeah, we're gonna go to the patent
Yeah.
place today. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Cool.
And by the time this gets out, we're already in production with this. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah. You can visit us at coolpants.org.gov.
Yeah. Because with .com wasn't there, but we doubled up on the other
Yeah,
domain.
if you do .org .gov, I mean, we don't have to go into the business politics of it, but anyway,
We're gonna put it right here. Link it right here. Yeah. So
yeah, pull up the link so you can see right here.
Right, yeah, right there, right where Misha's pointing there. That's
Yeah.
what it's gonna be. Yeah. So hit us up. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in Shark Tank style. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I've been binging some Shark Tank best of clips on YouTube lately. It's such a good show. It's great. I feel like you get the full spectrum of human emotion. You know, you've got like people really facing adversity. You've got like the ultra wealthy. You got people's dreams getting either crushed or coming true. You know, just it's just great. I really enjoy it a lot. And YouTube will just autoplay these clips, and it'll be like 5 times Mark Cuban was totally wrong. You know, like that kind of thing. And then the next one will be like 5 times Mark Cuban and Mr. Wonderful hash it out or something like that. But they're great. They're really good. I'm a huge fan.
That definitely had a lot of popularity for a bit, that show, which is good. But then I feel like people, and maybe I'm just speaking on my behalf here. I kind of forgot about it, or people weren't talking about it. And then
Well, I want to remind people about it. Yeah, I think people need to be reminded about it because it's an important thing to watch. I think you learn a lot from the Sharks.
It's true. I think I heard something like you have to have a certain amount of money that has already been made through these products to even get on the show. I think it's something crazy like $100,000.
Yeah, I'm sure
in profit or something like that before you even get to the tank. So
yeah, you got it. It's every day I'm hustling. It's just like wake up, grind, repeat for me. So
right, classic.
That's how you do it.
In the New Balances and or Converse.
Yeah.
Now I remember seeing a video of SadGirl and the Paranoids working with Doc Martens. Yeah. Now, are those in rotation for you as well?
Yeah, you know what? I have this awesome pair of Doc Martens. They look like cop boots. They're like a nylon, like a waterproof kind of material. I'd show them to you, but they're in such bad shape because I've worn them so much, truly, as like work boots. They're covered in paint. But yeah, I love them. They're really cool. And I just found out that they make a low top version of them. So not like a full boot, but kind of like a mid calf kind of boot, or like a mid ankle kind of boot. Yeah, I kind of want to get one of those. They've got like the real thick gel soles on them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Doc Martens makes it good. I've had that the 3-hole one for years now. It's the same one. I bought them down there in your neck of the woods at the Doc Martens store in Santa Monica. And back when I first started driving, I think that was the first time I drove to LA. And I went
Oh, it was for a Doc Martens
it's for some Doc
trip.
Martens. Yeah. And
Wow, that's
worst
cool.
traffic I've ever seen ever, even since coming back.
Yeah. Well, probably everyone was going to the Doc Martens store that day.
Sure. But I found parking, which was nice. It's
That's nice.
kind of difficult to find parking sometimes. But yeah, worst traffic coming back to Orange County that I've seen since.
Oh, it was going back. It was going back.
Yeah, going back, it
Yeah.
was rough. And then this guy, motorcyclist, clipped a guy, like a guy's bumper. That wasn't even what was causing the traffic, but that just happened during traffic. I didn't
It's
see
just
it
like
happen.
bonus.
Yeah, it was just like somebody was kinked out and he like hit
Oh
the
my God.
hit the bumper. And then I was really far back. It was dead stop traffic, kind of inching along every once in a while, but then I started hearing this like high pitched like ee. I was like, what is that? And I'm inching closer and closer and closer. It's getting louder. It's the dude's horn. The guy's horn on his bike was like pinned. So it was
Oh
just
shit.
like on. I was like, what is this? The guy was fine. He was standing up and I was like, dude, just cut the
That's good. Yeah, that's
yeah.
good. That's crazy. It's psycho out there. I mean, the motorcycle thing is pretty wild.
Yeah.
So
Would you ever do it, Misha?
yeah, I've had a motorcycle for a little while, but I got rid of it over the pandy, um, for financial reasons. But
Not
yeah, I mean,
not
even when I
safety,
was
not to be confused with safety reasons. Safety reasons, you're all right.
well, I want to clarify. Yeah, like the reason why I haven't got another one is because I just I think I always wanted to own a motorcycle at some point when I was younger, and I did, and I kind of got to do that, and yeah, I'm not like a big thrill seeker, not like an adrenaline junkie. It's just not my vibe. More power to the people that are, but it's just not really my thing. I've got a Ford Ranger pickup truck, and I'm quite content in that thing. Uh, I don't think I need to be like I'm on the road so often. Like I don't think I need to be upping the stats on, you know, my mortality rate.
Sure.
So
Now, with
yeah,
this Ranger, is it just a bench seat, or do you got like a half cab in the back or a full cab? What are you working with right now?
it's a newer Ranger.
Ooh,
Um, I think it's like a 2021 or 2022, maybe
woo!
either 21 or 22. So it's like a freshie.
That's new.
Um, yeah, and it's a full cab,
Okay.
which is great. I absolutely love it. Before that, like this is my first time ever owning like a new vehicle. I had my 98 Ford Econoline van, which I had for almost 10 years. It was stolen and returned at one point.
Was that the
And
one
that
with
was my,
the shark mouth that got
yeah, with
stolen?
a shark mouth on it. Exactly. And that
Okay.
was my daily driver. That's what I whipped around in. So that was like pretty wild. And then before that, I had a 97 Ford Explorer.
Okay.
And then before that, I had a 1964 Mercury Montclair. So I I don't even know if I ever anticipated ever owning a new car, but at a certain point I was like, I don't want to deal with bullshit anymore ever again. It's like with the New Balances, like you get at a certain point you're just like, I want a shoe is stylish, great arch support, you know, isn't gonna break the bank.
Sure.
And so
Or the
that's how I
back.
felt, or the back. Yeah, I mean, maybe more important than the bank is the back. So that's yeah, I got the Ranger. I got it not this past November, but the November before that, and I love it. I like seriously love it. I can't. I had like real imposter syndrome about it for the first like 6 to 8 months about it because I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like the AC and the heater both work, and like the radio works, and like there are door locks and things. Because I wasn't used to any of that.
Right,
And
right.
now, yeah, I just love it, and because I do the production work stuff, and because I do music, like it's fantastic having like more of a utility vehicle like that. I can't tell you how often I like completely load up the bed of it and haul shit around. So
Right,
yeah,
right. Now, going back to that van that was stolen, you guys were touring in that thing as well,
Yeah, that was the band van. I
but that's
bought
also
that.
your daily driver.
It was my daily driver and the band van. Yeah, yeah. And so we were
Double duty
taking that
there.
thing around the country. Yeah, we were taking it around the country often. It had been to Mexico several times, up to Canada a few times. I rented it to a few bands a couple of times. I rented it to Juan one time for a full US tour they did in that band. Um, and then, yeah, it was stolen. Ironically enough, it was stolen here in LA after being to all of these places around the country, you know, Canada, Mexico. It wound up getting stolen in Beechwood Canyon, of all places, which
Okay.
is a pretty nice neighborhood by all accounts.
Nice
Um,
for thieves, sure. Yeah.
really nice for thieves, evidently.
Well,
Uh,
they get
y-
sweet vans over there. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So my ex girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, she was house sitting for someone, and the house is up there in the canyon, and she didn't want to stay alone, so I went to stay with her while she was house sitting. And woke up in the morning, and the van was gone. And parked in the street just outside of this house. Beautiful house, like really nice neighborhood. And then it was found a couple weeks later. They found it in South LA, and it got towed to City Terrace. So I went
Okay.
and picked it up at a tow yard in City Terrace, and yeah, it had everything that was in there had been stolen. Radio had been ripped out. A bunch of stuff been ripped out. So people had been living in the back. It was crazy. I had to get it towed back
Now,
to my neighborhood.
the the first day of you noticing that it was gone, did you think for a second like, oh, I just parked it somewhere else and I forgot where it was
Well,
parked?
like I think you kind of know deep down when something's truly missing. I think you just know, but you kind of entertain this notion of like, fuck, maybe did I park it somewhere else? Or the other one, I think more so, was like, oh, it probably got towed. I must have parked in front of a driveway or something like that. Or like perhaps it was towed for some reason and it's probably at like an impound lot somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like usually my thought, that kind of thing happens. And I remember, yeah, my girlfriend at the time, she went to walk the dog, she was dog sitting, and she came back and she was like, your van is gone where it was parked. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you must be incorrect. It could not be gone. But yeah, sure enough, it was gone. It had been gone.
Did it cross your mind like, okay, I'm just never gonna see this again? Or did you have
Yeah.
that feeling? Oh, okay. So
Well, I think what happened is, on the onset, I was hoping that I would get it back or it would turn up. And then after a certain amount of time, this was actually what was a little bit frustrating about it, is by the time it turned back up, I had kind of been like, all right, time for that thing to go. It had been on its last legs anyway for a long time leading up to this. Let's move on.
but it said no. I'm coming
Yeah,
back.
it was almost as soon as, kind of coming to terms with it being missing is when it turns back up. And then it's like, well, fuck. Now I have to like fix and clean this thing that was like just destroyed inside. There's no battery in it. There was all kinds of stuff that had to get sorted.
Oh boy, that's yeah, that's a mission. So
Yeah.
how did you eventually finally cut ties with it? Did you sell it off for scrap? What was the
I somehow managed to trade it in as part of the deal for the Ranger, and
dang,
got
this
like
is a recent
$1,000 credit for it.
letting
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah.
Now, Misha, four cars in your total span of driving.
There's a bonus fifth one we didn't really get to. Is I still have it. I got it in the interim between the van and the Ranger. I got a 1989 Ford Bronco 2.
Was that OJ's one or was that a different one?
No, it wasn't OJ's one. OJ has the full size Bronco. The Bronco 2 came out, I think in the mid 80s. It was only around for a little while. It's like a smaller one. It's really cute. It's like a cute shrunken version of the Bronco. It's a great looking car. But the truck, unfortunately, I bought from a used car lot, and it was a complete lemon. It's heartbreaking. So it's yeah, it's, and I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it because the engine's toast. The body's in great condition, and I put a bunch of money into it, but I was putting money into like the suspension and stuff. And then of course, like while trying to get the handling and the suspension happening, the whole engine kind of had a meltdown. So I still don't know what to do about it. So if anybody on here wants to buy my Ford Bronco 2 1989 Eddie Bauer edition, it's two-tone green and cream. Suspension, brand new custom gearbox, brand new tie rods and ball joints, all kinds of great stuff. But you're gonna have to do an engine swap or a rebuild on it, but it's worth it. Cut you a deal.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
So we're looking at five cars, 2 right now, but
We're looking
5
at
in
five.
total.
5 in total, yeah. 5 in total. But you know, the van was the longest one.
How many years in total, ballpark in it?
Probably got the van in like 2014 or 15.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got rid of it in 2021, I guess.
Okay. What do you think the next car is going to be? I know that this is a little bit preemptive question here, Misha, but
For me?
yeah, do you think it's going to be going back to a
Oh,
car
well,
or a van?
no, yeah, I'll probably always have either a truck or a van. Just because I like doing dumb shit. And
And you wear
I
jeans.
need, and I wear jeans. Yeah, I wear jeans and a t-shirt. So, I need like space for hauling stuff, whether that be like musical equipment or whatever it might be. But I love the Ranger. If for some reason I was able to afford it, I would love the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is the full electric, full size pickup truck that they came out with recently. Because the idea of a full electric pickup truck just sounds super
sick.
Yeah, it's super sick.
I wonder how it feels to drive. I wonder if it just feels weird. Have you driven it?
I've never driven it. I would love to. I should probably just go and test drive one for fun. But they say, because I was kind of nerding out about it recently, because obviously, like, you know, gas is stupid on all fronts. But it's particularly difficult when you do need like a utility or like a larger vehicle like I do. Like even my Ranger, which is like a smaller truck, like the gas mileage is not great. It's okay, exponentially better than my van. But the idea of having like a full electric vehicle is just like, you know, fantastic. So I watched some YouTube reviews of the Ford F-150 Lightning, and apparently it handles and like outperforms most of the recent F-150 like gas models. That it's like the best F-150 overall in the last like decade or so. So it could be good. I don't know.
Yeah, but it can't even compete to the Ranger. Let's be honest here, Misha. I mean,
the Ranger is good. I'm happy with the Ranger.
The Rangers got the hold on the market.
The Rangers, yeah, it's the Tacoma. It's got the market hold, I think. But
I certainly do see a lot of Tacomas. That's a lot of
it's a popular truck.
Very popular truck. That one, Chevy, of course. Kind of losing touch with Dodge, seeing Dodges. I used to see them often, now not so much. They've kind of fallen to the wayside.
You see like the Ram Super Duty, but you
rarely
don't see much
though
else.
in my eyes, you know.
So let me ask you, I feel like we've had a good spread of here. I feel like typically when I do these things or when I listen to them, you know, people have some shit to pitch, or like, you know, there's like some good music chat. Is this you know, I just want the listeners out there to get a good spread of stuff. Is the kind of pants and truck talk enough? You know, is there any like deep you know, did you have anything? I have nothing to pitch. I got nothing. I got no.
Well, I mean, we do some stuff to pitch, and I'm glad that you teed up that transition for me, because I was going to ask you, the most recent release of volumes 1 and 2 just came out on vinyl recently.
Yeah, well, it was a repressing because I did it. I did a compilation of volumes 1 and 2 on vinyl. I guess it was back in 2021 in the fall, and those sold really quick.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much immediately started working on a repressing. But the state of vinyl production is so tough at the moment in terms of turnaround times and kind of cost of production, that even immediately kind of putting in the order to get a repressing done, it took until, God, when did I put that out? Like
2 months ago,
in December or
right?
something. Yeah, a couple months ago. So it takes a long time. But yeah, that's I'm stoked on that because a lot of that stuff, if not all of it, most of it, like a couple tracks we did a 45 of, but most of it had not ever been on vinyl before. So it's really rad, especially because the 2 EPs were originally issued as cassettes, and so it's like nice to have both on one vinyl that you can play.
And those were originally released in 2015-ish, right?
Yeah, yeah, probably about then at least. I mean, I started the project in 2014, so I think what we probably did is we were releasing kind of like singles, and then I think we did a 45 with Norma and Jessica and Breakfast Is Over on it, and then I think we did a cassette shortly thereafter for volume 1, and then not that long after that, volume 2, and then volume 3 was a tiny bit later, and then we did the full length with Suicide Squeeze.
Wow.
And then I've just kind of done a couple singles since then and like reissues.
Yeah. So the original release of 1 and 2 was just self release, and then you re-upped with it through Suicide Squeeze.
Well, no. So I even this compilation that I've put out, that is a self-release as well.
Okay.
I did that myself, self-funded. You know, I do all the kind of production and like logistics of it. I got this artist that I really like his style to do the imagery for the front cover, but all the layout work and, you know, the center label design and kind of typesetting and all that stuff, that's stuff that I do. And then yeah, and then I did a special edition color, which is black with splatter yellow, a really small run of that. And what I did is I actually teamed up with Suicide Squeeze to make that a Suicide Squeeze exclusive through them. So it's still it's a Hard Feelings release, which is like the little kind of like imprint label that I started back around 2014 or 2015 in order to self-release this stuff.
Wow. Yeah. So the first run was that black and yellow splatter, right? And then the second one was tan in black. Do I have that correct? The one that's
No,
out now?
it's so what did I do originally? When I first pressed this to vinyl, I guess like a year and a half ago or something, or 2 years ago, I did black and I did yellow. And I think that's it. And then this time around, I did black and I did like a maroon color, like a really cool deep maroon. And then I did this black with splatter, which is the one that's like the Suicide Squeeze kind of limited one.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that the first release of that, and you guys were just doing it at shows. And I was like, shit, I gotta get one of those. And I wasn't able to get it, but I was really stoked when the reissue of the issue came back out, and I did jump on that. And I have to say, it looks really good, sounds really good, like all the songs on it. Yeah, that was
Thank you, man.
I jumped on that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's because I asked my buddy, I was like, hey man, can you please, because he was going to a show, a SadGirl show down there in San Diego, and I was like, hey man, can you please pick me up on those records? I can't get it online, only in person.
Yeah.
And then he didn't end up going, and then I was like, well, okay, great, I'll hit up Misha about it. And then what you did was you started talking about New Balances, and then we never got around to getting it. So I was really stoked.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, God, that happens. Like I was trying to remember what we talked about last time, so I didn't tread any already trodden ground, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
And I mean, it's typical me. This happens every time is I bring up the fucking Converse, I bring up the New Balance, talk about my truck. It's like all I talk about.
That truck purchase must have happened like right after we did the the podcast last time. That's what I
Yeah, it
feel.
was probably shortly thereafter. Also, I just want to clarify it's a lease. So
Still though, you got it
but
right now.
I got it. Yeah, I'm going way over the mileage on the lease. So that's why I say I buy it is because I know I'm going to have to buy it anyway, ultimately. Um, but yeah, I had it in the works for a little while, but it's hard because I get really busy with projects, and then I'll wind up putting a little bit of time into it, and then it'll kind of pause for a little bit. But I'm working on another compilation vinyl that'll be volume 3, the EP on one side, and then the B side is going to have kind of like rarities and live stuff on it. So stuff that some of it that never even got put on Spotify, some stuff that was like really early shit that was just on like SoundCloud or Bandcamp or some of those places, or even some stuff that got recorded and never released. And then a couple live versions of a few tracks from volumes 1, 2, and 3. And that's so we did this first vinyl compilation that we did that we were discussing earlier is called Limited Edition. And then this next one is called Deluxe Edition.
Ooh.
So yeah, Deluxe Edition is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited for that. It'll probably be a little ways out because again, it takes so long to get vinyl done. But we're in the kind of final stages of like getting it all moving.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vinyl has been backed up for a bit. Yeah, and that's a big problem. But I'm glad that this is this breaking news, by the way, Misha? Have you announced this anywhere else, or is this
I don't know.
just
I
an
mean, I haven't really
exclusive?
announced it. I probably mentioned it to people, but I've never like, I haven't really talked about it. But yeah, anybody who's listening, it's probably going to be me listening again on the freeway to it.
You're one of the 40,000 people that listen. Yeah. So
I am one of 40,000 people. Yeah.
yeah.
So to the 39,999 other folks listening in,
Look out for that.
you heard it here first. Look out for it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it'll probably be a little while, but I try to put in work on it when I can. I've been really enjoying doing all these other projects. I've been working with this artist Nick Waterhouse
Oh,
since the end of
he's
last year.
terrific. His shit's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. So all of this, he's got a new record coming out called The Fooler, which drops April 1st. And we announced it in December. I've been doing all of the creative direction for it. So all of the merch design, all of the kind of like what they call content these days. So all the kind of video assets, all the photographs, all the design work, all the kind of marketing for it. I set up like an audio phone hotline that you can call and actually like preview some of the singles on there, and you can leave a voice message. And yeah, that's been really fun. So that's been taking up a good amount of time, essentially doing what I've done for my group for Nick, kind of in terms of marketing and branding and the creative direction stuff. And then I've got a couple of other artists who I'm doing some merch design work for at the moment. I actually just sent off a series of mock-ups for some new merch for an artist that I'm working with right before I jumped on with you. And then yeah,
And it rhymes with Steely Dan.
That's right. It's
just to give a little
Mealy fan.
Yeah, Misha, it's you got your hand in a lot of stuff. Yeah, I always loved what Nick Waterhouse is doing, and his whole aesthetically is very nice. I know that he used to work with Matt Correa of All Allahs for some of
Yeah.
his pictures
Yeah, I think
too.
he produced their first record, the All Allahs.
Oh yeah. Or
Yeah.
at least that first 45, I think, or something like that. But yeah, that was
Yeah, I know he is kind of in cahoots with those gentlemen. So yeah. But yeah, he's super talented. This new record's awesome too. I've known Nick for quite a while. We toured with him back in probably 2016 or something, and that's how I kind of got to know him. And you know, his sort of niche is this like R&B sort of kind of blue-eyed soul, rock and roll revival type stuff. Um, and this new record, although it distinctly sounds like Nick, he's kind of incorporating some really interesting stuff into it, like kind of a lot of 60s yeah music and kind of Velvet Underground influences. Like you can hear some Lee Hazelwood in there. So
Ooh, love some Lee
it's
Hazelwood.
actually it's definitely my favorite music from Nick in a while. I'm pretty excited to, you know, for him, for the music. So, and it's been great working with him.
That's awesome. Now, Misha, going back to your own, 'cause I know that you don't like to talk about yourself or the projects that you are specifically solely in, but I'm gonna steer it back to this. These tapes that we were talking about before, the volumes 1 and 2 and 3 as well, right? That was
Yeah,
2015
yeah,
ish.
ish.
Why did you decide to put it out on vinyl recently? What was were you just sitting and thinking, all right, it's time for this to have a proper vinyl release?
Yeah, well, I'm such a fan of compilations. I feel like I've discovered so much music through compilations. And you know, oftentimes you'll find like a vinyl comp in a record store or something, and you might find a couple tracks that you like, and then all of a sudden you've discovered a new artist that you kind of follow down the rabbit hole. And although these aren't compilations with, you know, like multiple artists involved on them, they're a compilation in the sense that they're you know, spanning a chunk of time with the project, and I feel like it gives a good spread. And a lot of people have, you know, people always want vinyl. And in the past, what we've done is 45s, or we did the full length with Suicide Squeeze. And once those were kind of done, people were still always asking for music and asking for vinyl. And I thought it was just kind of a nice way to package up some of the EPs with some of, you know, the more popular tracks from that kind of time period in the group's history. And yeah, just a vehicle for me. Like meanwhile, I've been writing music a little bit less than I have in the past, but I didn't want to, you know, have that be a hindrance from working on a release project, because I love working on projects like that, working on releases. And so it was a nice way to put a release together with existing material, without having to figure out a way to fund getting in the studio or go through the writing process. Writing for me is really slow. So it'll take me a while. Oftentimes songs come quite quick, but they'll come
In
intermittently, like
in
pretty
in
spaced out.
waves. In
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 waves, yeah,
waves of
exactly.
creativity.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And then also what I'll do is I kind of really need like a full I need like a kind of full overarching vision for the thing that I'm doing. Otherwise it just feels like,
Sporadic.
you know, piecemeal kind of chunking songs together. So I'm kind of trying to find and figure out what I want the theme and the kind of vibe of the next record to be, if and when I get down to it. I got a number of songs that I've been working on for a while that are kind of in different stages of completion, that I'd really like to get out there. And some of them I think are great, and some of them I think need a lot of work. But it'll be really nice when the time comes to sit down and like, you know, chisel at them and get some new music going.
Is that how you viewed some of these other older songs as well? Like some of them are pretty fleshed out, but some of them need to be worked on. Was that kind of the process that you were having with like feel like
Yeah,
shit and these sort of other ones?
yeah. I mean, you
Mm.
know, early on, there, you know, it was so remarkable to ever find anyone but me and my close friends listening to the music that I was making. And when people started listening to the music, I was so grateful and kind of surprised to have an audience really and have people listening to the music. And so there was a little bit less kind of uh, self-awareness, or a little less self-consciousness in a sense, because I was just making stuff and seeing what stuck. Now it's weird, you know, you get an audience, which is what you always want, but for me it puts a little bit of pressure on it, because uh now I want all of it to be good. and looking back, like there are some good ones that I still very much enjoy playing and think are decent. There are some that, I'm not crazy about, or some that like maybe I don't feel quite as strongly about. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's all a learning process. So no matter what, I mean, really, all anything is that I've ever done is like an experiment, and it's just me trying to figure out how to do something. And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of, the next record will just be me trying to figure out how to do something.
That's good though, that you treat it like an experiment. Like maybe this will work, maybe this won't. And
Yeah,
that's a great way to approach it. Not like it has to be this. That's it.
yeah, it's too much. There's too much tension and anxiety having that kind of mentality behind it. I think,
Right.
life's too short. You gotta just, you gotta enjoy shit.
Buy a
That's
truck,
not to
get a
say
pair of jeans, and rock some New Balances
that's right. Oh man,
and or
100%.
Converse
And or Converse, yeah, that's
and
true.
Doc Martens.
And frankly, this, the I feel like this belt has kind of somehow become like a signature belt of mine,
Dude,
but it's really just because I'm too lazy to buy another belt,
I've seen that belt a lot. I've seen it in person, seen it in interviews, all this stuff on the Instagram. Is it your favorite
Yeah,
belt?
it's just my only belt.
So just by
But so
process
yeah,
of elimination.
yeah, by process of elimination, getting rid of all the other belts that I own, this is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, belts are important. I bought a belt that this guy makes. I forgot his name. If I fucking remembered, I'd say it. But he makes it in America. It's all handmade. It's just him and his wife that make them. It's really cool. And I had to wait like months, obviously, for it to be made. And then it
Was it
finally,
bespoke?
it was not bespoke. This guy, fuck, what is his name? I think his name's Matt or something like that. But if I if I remembered his name,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll have
have it.
to we'll have to do another episode once you we'll
I'm
have to
gonna
catch up on a couple of these things.
I'm gonna bring you in tomorrow real quick just so I can say the name and you go got it and we'll
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
back. We'll
that's
put it
cool.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
No, sorry, Morrison Made. I think is what it's called. Morrison Made, I believe
Oh, okay.
is the name of the thing. He also makes wallets too. But yeah, he was like, his whole pitch was like, oh, people say that things aren't made like they used to be. He's like, well, I'm trying to fix that. I was like, all right, and I really like it. Uh,
One belt at a time.
one bell at a time or wallet, depending on
Yeah.
what he's on. But it did take a long time to get. But that's why I recommend. It's a little bit pricey, but you're paying for what he's making.
Yeah, you're paying for the quality.
Paying for quality, just like with Dockers.
That's right.
Had to throw it in there. Now, Misha, with these songs that you write, going back to music and not Morrison Made, although they're a fine product. Going back to the music that you make, it seems like a lot of these songs are very, very personal. And like when you play them live, it really feels like it's coming from inside you. Is this true that you look inside yourself um to write these songs, or are you more looking at other people and writing from the perspective of them?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think more often now than in the past, I try to write it from a more genuine perspective. But when I first started out, I was kind of writing with sort of like fictional characters in mind. But it changes. You can kind of tell too, though. Like I think the songs that hit harder have a tendency to be a little bit more, they tend to be more poignant when they're more genuine in that way. But yeah, obviously, like a song like Chlorine or something was, I liked the idea of coming up with this character. Was the title of the character, the name of the character, Chlorine. That was sort of the inspiration for the song, was envisioning this character named Chlorine and what would she be like, and how can I write a song about this fictional character. Or Breakfast is Over, again, was sort of like an intentional, there was a goal, which was to have this character, and it was a take on like a classic oldies kind of do up love song, but with this sort of like this asshole character instead of like the lovey doo-wop kind of persona that was like typical of that genre of music. And then there are songs like Another Breakfast or Goodbye Queenie, which are more recent, that are definitely more personal and genuine. And yeah, it just kind of depends on how I'm feeling and what the inspiration is at the time, you know. So it changes song to song what the sort of perspective is, or who the character is, or what the inspiration might be. Yeah, I don't know. That's, you know, the songs. It depends. Sometimes the inspiration is, it's literally writing a fictional story, and you know, the medium is song, so it's conveying a fictional story about a character. And sometimes they're more personal, and it just really depends on what the kind of inspiration is at the time.
Either way, whether it is about you or is about a fictional character that you thought up, do you try to leave these songs open to interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really important in how you um you know, communicate effectively is you want to make these sort of broad, but also you want these broad feelings but kind of specific depictions of them which people can relate to, because then what the feeling is I hear this, I hear the story, and I hear this person's story, the narrator, but I know the story as the listener personally because I've experienced something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, what you're kind of doing is you're sort of, at least with the more personal songs, is you're kind of beating around the bush a little bit. The whole goal is you want to convey an emotion, but you don't really want to be completely overt necessarily. Um, you know, occasionally that is a strength, and maybe what you can do is blindside, uh, you know, as like a lyrical strategy by being very overt. But yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know. There are a lot of interesting like writing tricks which I haven't really thought about, but probably have a tendency to incorporate in the songs that I write.
Why do you think people connect so much to the music that you make?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you know, the music that I make is, you know, very, you know, obviously nostalgic, and it's intentionally very romantic, and it's cathartic. So I think that um, I've always kind of had this strange feeling of like homesickness, but not necessarily for anywhere in particular. Just, you know, I don't know what that is or what that longing is for. And I kind of feel like that in a way is a universal feeling that a lot of people feel, is this sort of feeling of wanting to feel like they're at home somewhere. And I think what the songs are, all of them for the most part, are kind of a call back to this homesickness that we feel. And I'm utilizing that kind of feeling of nostalgia, or sort of, you know, timeless sounds that resonate with me, and the type of music that moves me typically, which is of this sonic world and vocabulary. And yeah, you know, taking a lot of references from an inspiration from, you know, country and folk music, and soul music, and doo-wop ballads, and instrumental, and kind of cinematic stuff, you know, movie scores and things like that. There's a lot of instrumentals that I like to incorporate in the repertoire of the project. Because yeah, I like to try and convey a story or some kind of an emotion. So I also just want to say, you know, there's no formula really for it, and for I just try to make what it inspires me and moves me. And the fact that it has ever and continues to ever connect with people, any of the stuff that I make is really remarkable. I'm very, very grateful for it. It feels like a very special thing to have that. Yeah, because like I said, I mean, when I first started making music, I mean, you know, the goal, of course, was to have people listen to it, but the idea of people outside of people that you actually knew listening to it was really remarkable. And I kind of remember when people started coming to shows and singing along to the songs, and there were people I didn't know, it wasn't like my friend or my friend's, cousin or my friend's girlfriend or whoever, it wasn't people that I knew. It was strangers coming to the show and they knew the lyrics. And that was crazy. That was like a crazy feeling. So
was that like a turning point for you? Like, whoa, we're getting, this is actually gonna be something. It's getting stronger.
yeah, there were a couple, you have those moments from time to time when you're doing things where you're like, this feels like something else, because I've played music my whole life and kind of played in bands intermittently and like periodically, and it was it was just like, wow, it feels like this is something that people like, people seem to be responding to it. And it was, early on it was mostly kind of like heavier punk style songs, and the idea of incorporating kind of ballads into it was pretty nerve-wracking, especially because I had never had an intention of being a singer or vocalist, or a front person. Like, I just didn't have the chops or the confidence to do it, really. I played guitar since I was like really young, but I never really sang. I think there was like a part of me definitely that of course wanted to be like a singer or a front person, but I never really considered it to be an option. It was really because I couldn't find a singer and like I wanted to start a band. And so it was like, well, if there's no one that's going to do it, I'll do it. Maybe we'll find someone down the line or something, but meanwhile, I'll do it. Um, and yeah, that was a big hurdle, honestly, for a long time, was overcoming the singing thing. I was not used to it. Playing guitar was one thing, but singing was like a whole other ball game.
How did you finally overcome that feeling of like, yeah, this is what my voice sounds like, or whatever it was?
Man, I think just time and doing it. And I mean, to be honest, you never really get over that, I don't think. Hearing your own voice, at least for me, like, I don't have the strongest voice. I have a very limited range. And I've gotten better in the last few years about knowing what and how to use my voice the way I do. And so I feel more confident in what I know how to do. But yeah, I don't know. I think historically, people have a tendency to hate the sound of their voice when it's recorded, whether you're talking or singing or otherwise. You always think like, Jesus fucking Christ, that's what I said. That's me. That's my voice, like, you're like, holy fuck. That's what I sound like,
Yeah,
delete it,
yeah.
delete the voicemail, Um, so yeah. And I mean, I think there's a tinge of that no matter what. I've kind of found like a style that I really like to record. There's like a particular kind of microphone I quite like to use, and usually a style I like to record. And I quite like using slapback and a decent amount of compression on my voice. I think that makes it sound like something I would listen, the closest version of something that I would listen to. I have a really hard time listening to my own music. Once a song's done, that's usually it, kind of. I don't really revisit it all that often. Occasionally from time to time I will, but yeah, that's kind of like, I quite like heavy slap back, a bit of reverb, decent amount of compression. Usually like to use like a large diaphragm, a condenser microphone, and yeah, that's kind of the vibe.
Do you feel the most connected to a song when you're writing it and hashing it out, or when you're playing it live for the first time or the first couple of times?
Yeah, it kind of depends. I mean, there are these moments which are really remarkable that I think any songwriter will attest to when you're writing a song, and it's almost like, as you're writing, the song is done. It's already been written, and all you're doing is sort of transcribing it. And it's this sort of feeling of being like a conduit, for this thing. And when that happens, it's man, it's like such a special thing, because you know the song, it, and you know what the right lyrics are. And so that's like a pretty special and fun thing, and that's tough to accomplish consistently and to repeat.
Right.
But it's a pretty special thing. And then yeah, I mean, sometimes, occasionally you'll play a song that you might have played 60 times in a row on a tour or something, like night after night, and for some reason one night you might be listening with different ears than you have the previous nights, and it'll strike a chord with you in a different way. So occasionally, you'll be playing a song and you'll think, at least for me, sometimes I'll think like, this is pretty good, actually. This is not bad. I think I'm also like usually so hard on myself with this stuff, and so from time to time, especially when I'm playing with a group and like musicians that I admire, which is most of the time, I'm lucky enough to play with people who are really talented.
Super
Um,
talented. Yeah, the group is really, really strong. Every time I see you
yeah,
guys.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel very, very grateful to be able to play with such talented people, and that's always a special feeling when you're playing something and it's sounding really good and cohesive.
It seems like recently that you started incorporating kind of like pedal steel guitars and like piano.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, the original incarnation of the group was a pretty straightforward three-piece surf punk band. I mean, that was it. Like in recording, we would incorporate some additional stuff from time to time. And then as the project grew, I was getting more interested, and I was becoming more comfortable with doing sort of like the ballads, the slower songs, which um, I wanted to incorporate different instrumentation in. And in the studio, that's easy enough because either myself, I would play a lot of these instruments in the studio where I'm perhaps not competent enough to play live or on the fly, but I can kind of flesh it out and write it and then perform it while recording when you have the opportunity to do like take after take of something. But then it was about formatting those songs to play live. So I knew that I wanted to add like a keyboard player at a certain point. And we kind of started experimenting with that. A couple of years into the project, we'd have people come and play intermittently for various shows, and we would then bring out like a guest saxophone player from time to time on stuff. And then, yeah, lately, because like I've mentioned a few times, I'm a huge country music fan, and also in particularly like pedal and lap steel. It's such a beautiful instrument, and so kind of melancholy and nostalgic and very eerie sounding. It's like such a fascinating and interesting sound. Yeah, having the opportunity I did a stripped down kind of acoustic incarnation of the band that was just myself, Ray on bass, and then my buddy Bill playing pedal steel, and we did a series of shows like that and a live video session. And that was really, really cool to do like a different version and different interpretation of some of the songs in the stripped down version with that kind of like eerie pedal steel on it was really cool.
What is an instrument that you'd like to try to incorporate into a setting like that, or at least for a couple of shows that you think would fit
Yeah,
real well?
I'd love to do more with the pedal steel for sure. I would also love to incorporate some trumpet at some point.
Trumpet and
Be
sax,
really
or just
cool.
trumpet?
Either way, it would be really cool to do trumpet and sax, like Memphis horn style, like Stax, kind of Motown, and that kind of style, like horn section would be sick. But also, kind of that Chet Bakery, like very sort of, almost singing kind of like melodic vocal lines, kind of trumpet things, perhaps doing like counter melodies or something like that.
So you're just trying to be a crooner now? That's the next phase of this?
Yeah, well, I've kind of always been a crooner. I think that's the reality of it, and
You're
I
getting out
think
your
it's
Glenn Campbell phase and you're going into your Frank Sinatra phase.
maybe, yeah, maybe. Although I think the Glenn Campbell phase will probably be around. That's always going to be in there.
I
Glenn's one of
rem-
my favorites.
I remember I asked you last
Yeah.
time, what is one song you wish you could have written, and that was Wichita Lineman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love that song. I really love that
You didn't
song.
say Southern Nights though, but it's fine.
I love that one too. Yeah, that's a good one
But
too.
you didn't
That's
say it though, Misha.
I
That's
didn't.
the problem. That's the issue
That's
here.
true. I know. Sorry, Jacob.
It's fine, dude. We'll just have to redo this. But before then, Misha, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you back on here, and I'm really stoked that we were able to do this. But as you know, before I cut you loose here, we got some promo to do. So,
That's
Sad
right.
Girls music streaming everywhere, wherever you get your music, that's where you can find them. Stay up to date with everything. shows, news, tours, all that good stuff at We Are Sad Girl on Instagram. Is that the best place, Misha?
Yeah, we are SadGirl on Instagram. We are sadgirl.com.
SadGirl.com and sadgirl.bigcartel.com to find some of this merch and whatnot that
Or
is
we are
released.
sadgirl.com/store. Whatever suits your fancy, they'll take you to the same place.
Look, it's either you're a Levi's guy or you're a Dockers guy. That's, you know, that's just your whatever your
It's
interpretation is.
true, but I think today has shown more than anything that Levi's and Dockers can come together and just unite in power, you know?
That's right.
So
Absolutely. And also suicidesqueeze.com, right? It's .com or .net.
I think it's .net. .net. Yeah, suicidesqueeze.net. .net.
Suicidesqueeze.net to go pick up that the Sad Girl Volume 1, Volume 2 limited edition vinyl. Highly recommend that. Great album, great stuff on there. And also, are the cassette tapes that you guys are making, the water ones, are those still available at the Big Cartel?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, they should still be up there online. I'll have to check what the inventory is like. I've been slacking a little bit lately on that, but I have a big stock of both blue and black water cassettes.
no, we're no, it's low.
Here,
It's
so
low. So if you want one, you have to go buy them right now and
fuck.
go.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
We're running low, real limited on them. So grab them while you can.
While
Y'all.
supplies last. I mean, and this will be coming out in a bit. So if it's even around by the time this is up, yeah, definitely go ahead and go jump
Yeah,
on that. Yeah, if there's
right.
still some there, definitely go jump on that. And Misha, do we have anything else to promote here?
No. As per, I'll say, start a band. You know, learn how to screen print and print your own merchandise. Do some research online and fucking put your music out. Throw your own shows. It's cool. That's
10
it.
things
That's
right
what
there.
I got. Yeah,
Misha,
that's 10 things.
you're the man. Thank you so much. I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.